I have a series of red and white quilts going, and today I get a chance to make another red and white quilt. Okay, it's Saturday and the Project Quilting Challenge deadline is tomorrow at noon Central, which is 1 o'clock my time. And I'm hoping to get this quilt done today so I don't have to worry about waking up early tomorrow to get it finished. So I found a batting scrap that I can use for this quilt. This is left over from the Mythical Creatures quilt that I made last time, and it was the perfect size for this quilt. And then also, this is the fabric that I rejected for the white. I was thinking about using this with this red color, but I chose to use a whiter white. And so this fabric is now available to use for the backing. It's a little scary to me because it's very close in size to the width of this, but I'm just gonna have to be really careful, and I think I'll be able to make it just fine. And if I need to trim off the sides for this quilt just a little tiny bit, I think that'll be okay. I'll just make sure I pan really closely to the sides. So I'm going to press this fabric first, and then I'm going to sandwich the quilt, and then I can start quilting it. My idea for quilting this is to keep it really simple so that I can make it really quick, is to just make stripes going vertically this way. So it'll kind of look like pinstripes, I guess, because I'm thinking of these like as fabric covered buttons. And even though pinstripes don't really work well with fabric covered buttons, I think that it still kind of helps with the shirt look. And also keep me from having to do too much extra exciting things to this quilt. I think I'm going to have like 2 on each side, so it's still a lot of sewing. So it'll all be straight sewing, so hopefully it'll be fast. Even though I'm tempted to birth this quilt like I did the last 2 quilts, I really do think that binding will help, especially with these white sections, to help close it off. And so I am going to bind it. In order to be able to finish on time, I'm going to go ahead and do the machine sewn binding. And personally, I would rather worry about the long-term use of the quilt, and so if something like a binding in particular makes the quilt better, I'd rather make the quilt better because that's better for the quilt. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start sandwiching. Okay, when you sandwich your quilt for binding, you want to put the right side down so that it'll show up on the bottom of the quilt. Then you layer it with the batting. Collected some fabric threads along the way. You want to make sure that everything is smooth as possible. Actually, like the backing to be a little bit smaller than the batting. And then I want the quilt top to be smaller than both of those so that I can easily see all 3 of the layers. But because the backing is so small, I'm just going to have to be super careful that I line this up correctly. So I'm going to first make sure I have this lined up right. There's room on the top and the bottom, just not room on the side here, so I'm just going to line this up as close as I can and then straighten out the batting. You want all three of the layers to be as smooth as possible. Sometimes I like to tape the batting onto the table in order to sandwich it, to make sure that the sides stay as straight as possible. But I do want to make sure that I'm not stretching or pulling any part of the quilt at all, the batting or the backing or the top. It just needs to lay as flat as possible. So there's no need to stretch it, because if you stretch it, that's going to cause more wrinkles. Then comparing this to the back here, it looks like it's lined up correctly as well. Actually, you can see here in the corner there's a little bit of a problem, so I need to redo this so that the batting can fill up more of the space. And it's good to get as much of the lint off as possible on the batting. Anything that got stuck, the batting likes to collect things. It's good to remove it as much as possible so that it doesn't show through on the front, on the quilt top, especially since there's white fabric. Any color that is in the back is going to be easy to be seen. So now I'm going to line all this up again to the side here, to this quilt top. I want to make sure I line up the quilt top to the backing since we're running so close. It's just hard to show everything on camera with the small space that I have here, but here you can see the backing and the quilt top are lining up pretty good. So I can go ahead and start pinning them. Okay, so I'll put these pins here at the edge of this fabric and at the edge here so that I can compare them to the back. And the pin is right here, so it's really close to the edge. This was really close to the edge, it's right outside. And this pin on this side looks like it has more room, so maybe I don't have this line. It looks like I don't have it lined up properly. So I'm going to go ahead and line it up a little bit better. No, this side didn't look that bad, but I'm going to move this backing a little bit this direction. It's just a slight twist here. Going to give me more room on this side and this side. looks like I'm not lining up right, so what I'm doing here, what I did was I went ahead and pinned here so I could see the pins, and then I can make sure that I'm lining it up properly based on the pins, since it's harder to see. I'm going to go just slightly above over the pins. Here you can see it's really, on this side you can see it's like right here above the pin. The pin is here, and on this side the pin is right here. Pin is right here, and I'm just slightly above that. So this looks like it's a closer match to the fabric. It looks a closer match to the quilt top. And then I can just straighten up the quilt top again. I think now I need to just pin this just to make sure everything looks straight. Besides making sure that there's backing behind every part of the quilt top, I'm also trying to make sure that the pins are straight, so I can see if the fabric is on straight. And that looks good. This one's a little bit off here on this side, but it's really close, so I think that'll be fine. And both of these look like both of these look good. So there may be some sliver of trimming that I might have to do here because it is really close. Otherwise I can go ahead and start sandwiching the quilt, and the way we do that is to use these curved quilting pins. These are for quilters especially because they're curved, they're not straight like the regular safety pins that you see. So I'm just going to go ahead and just attach these. I'm trying to attach all three of the layers together. I just want to do that all over just to make sure there's a good amount of pins everywhere. I think I'm going to put the pins more in the button section, especially since I'm going to be quilting down the sides, so I don't want too many pins in that area particularly. So it's a really good idea to know your quilting plan before you start basting, because that can help you choose where to put the pins, where they'll be out of the way of where you're sewing. I like to make sure that I put safety pins in all of the corners as much as possible. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and finish pinning everything, and then I'll be back to go on with the quilting process. So basically all I'm going to do is just add more safety pins throughout the quilt. Okay, I've gone ahead and put the rest of the safety pins in. I made sure that I basted all the sides of the quilt. And I also put in a few in the centers here because I'm going to be sewing down this way. One thing I did want to talk to you about with using red and white fabric for your red and white quilts is sometimes if your red and white fabric, this one you can see has white in it as well as red. And one thing I noticed when I had made another quilt, when I was using a red and white fabric, is that if your fabric has too much white in it, your quilt may wind up looking like it's pink rather than red. So you do want to pay attention to how much red there is and how much white there is in this kind of fabric, which is not a really big problem unless you really want your reds to really stand out against the white. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and quilt this. I've also gone ahead and cut, while I was waiting for the battery to charge up, I also cut up some strips so that I could have the binding ready for this quilt. I'll sew these to each other while I have the 1/4 inch foot, and then I'll go ahead and switch feet so that I can go ahead and quilt this quilt. I don't really see a line here that I can follow, but I'm just going to try to follow the edge of this, trying to keep it as close as possible to where I want it to be. Stitch length a little bit wider, and just so. It's fine, I think, if it's not exactly straight. I could try to measure it or mark it with a masking tape or something, but I think it'll be fine if it's just not exactly straight. Okay, I've gone ahead and finished quilting this. I have the stripes on both sides. I have those little things that I called pinstripes earlier on both sides of the buttons. And this now makes me really happy. It doesn't really look like pinstripes anymore. To me, it looks like, I'm not sure what this is called. Is it called a placard? It looks like this is what the buttons would be around. And they're not exactly the same distance apart, but I'm fine with that. I think, you know, when a shirt is on somebody, it's not going to look exactly straight anyway. So I think it looks great. And I'm really happy with the way it looks now. And I'm also really happy that I did put all the buttons in the same direction, because if I had alternated them, I wouldn't have been able to do this quick and easy quilting design. I might have been able to think of something else, I don't know, but I'm glad that I found this idea and that it worked out really well for me. So now I'm going to just go ahead and trim this. Also, while I was waiting for the battery to charge up, I did go ahead and press the binding. So once I trim this quilt, I should be able to go ahead and just put the binding on pretty quickly. I hope that you enjoyed watching me make progress on my Ruby quilt. Thank you for watching. I appreciate all of your support, and I hope to see you again in the next video.